Hey, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. So today we're doing another reading vlog on one single book. That one is going to be November 9th by Colleen Hoover. Today is November 9th, and that is the reason why I am reading this book, because what better day to read this book than on November 9. Originally, I was not going to read this book this month. It wasn't on my November TBR. For whatever reason, I just had a lot of other books that I knew I really needed and wanted to get to that I felt like I didn't have room to put this on my TBR. But as I started to think about it, I just didn't see how it made sense to not read this book in November, and specifically on November 9. I think I was wasting such an opportunity there. So for that reason, I just forced this book into my November TBR. So here we are, and I'm going to read it. I've also been saying that the next Colleen Hoover book I wanted to get to was Too Late, so we're throwing that out the window and I'm going to get into November 9 next. It's so crazy how my plans and mind just change constantly. That's just how I am. I haven't read a Colleen Hoover book in a really long time, so I'm so excited for this. Colleen Hoover's books are so easy for me to just fly through. I can usually read them in close to one sitting, or at least a couple of sittings, because I never can put them down. So I'm thinking that's going to be the case with this book as well. And all I know about what this one is about, it's about these two people, this guy and this girl, who agreed to meet every November 9th for 5 years. And I believe the reason is because the guy is a writer, and so he thinks having a romance that happens just on one day out of the whole year will give him inspiration for, I believe, his books and maybe his romances in his books. That's all I know. So I feel like this is going to be an interesting romance because this couple only sees each other once a year for 5 years. So I'm very curious as to how they can build a connection when they never talk throughout the entire year and only meet once a year, on one day a year. Like, how can you build a connection with someone? So I'm interested to see how that's explored in this book. So I'm gonna get started. I'll read a little bit of it and then I'll come back and let you know my thoughts occasionally. And yeah, let's just get started. The first line of this is so funny. So it goes, "I wonder what kind of sound it would make if I were to smash this glass against the side of his head." What a way to open a book. It's like, what is going on here? This isn't, I assume this isn't a violent book, but that's a great first line. Pretty epic. Okay, so one of our main characters, her name is Fallon. I love that name, by the way. That's such a cool name. I absolutely adore it. Her father is a famous actor, and they're in LA right now. And in this chapter, we're going into some of her backstory. So she was actually involved in a fire. She was staying at her dad's house 2 years ago, and his house caught on fire, and she suffered really badly for that. She actually has scars all along the left side of her face, down her neck, and I think it also said it goes to down her waist as well. So she has some scarring, and it was a pretty bad time for her, rightfully so. That's awful. Oh my gosh, that's so traumatic. So I feel for her in that sense. This next quote by her is so sad. It kind of broke my heart. So she's talking about how she's not a people person because she doesn't feel comfortable presenting herself because of her scarring. And she says, "I'm afraid they'll stare at my scars." She says, "I do what I can to avoid people most of the time, and not because I'm afraid they'll stare at my scars. I avoid them because they don't stare. The second people notice me, they look away just as fast because they're afraid to appear rude or judgmental. Just once it would be nice if someone looked at me in the eyes and held my stare." That's really, really sad. I mean, I would be very heartbroken if every person I came across just looked away from me and, you know, tried to not pay attention to me. Like, I get that they're trying not to be judgmental by staring, but she wants to have that connection to someone, and you have to actually look at someone to have a connection with them. That's so sad. Oh my god, poor thing. I'm already feeling for this girl, and I barely know her yet. I'm only on page 9, but I'm like, that's making me want to cry. Her father is already so irritating and just annoying. My gosh, this man is awful. So she tells him she's moving to New York to pursue Broadway because she does want to be an actor. Or actress, I mean. And he's really discouraging her. He tells her, I know you miss acting, but don't you think it's time you pursue other options? Then in her narrative, she goes, my entire life, all he did was push me to follow in his footsteps. After the fire, his encouragement came to a complete halt. I'm not an idiot. I know he thinks I don't have what it takes to be an actress anymore, and part of me knows he's right. Looks are really important in Hollywood. I mean, he doesn't say that she shouldn't be an actress because of the way she looks, but he implies it. That's not okay. That's not okay. How can you treat your daughter like that? Saying, pretty much hinting at, you're too ugly to be an actress because of her scars. I hate that. This next part is so epic. So the guy who is in the other booth, who was staring at her, who is Ben, we now know that now, he comes over and sits next to Fallon in the booth she's at with her father because he overheard a conversation between them. Her dad was going on that she hasn't had a boyfriend in over 2 years because of the way she looked, which is despicable. Absolutely disgusting of him. So to shove it in his face that she can still get a boyfriend, he comes over and introduces himself as Fallon's boyfriend. Obviously that's not true because they just met, but he did that for her, and that is so epic and so sweet. As if this couldn't get more devastating in regards to her whole backstory. My god. This poor girl. So after the fire, she tells in her narrative that she was dumped by her acting agency because of the way she looks, because her face is scarred. Can you even imagine? You just went through something so traumatic, and the next thing you need is for you to lose your job because of the way you look, because of the results of going through a fire. I can't even imagine. Oh my god, that's so terrible. It's such a wound to your ego as well. Like, that had to make her feel even less about herself than she already did. Ben is proving himself to be even more sweet, and I love it. At the end of chapter 2, he tells her what he thought of her the first time he saw her. And he tells her that when he noticed her scars, she had looked down and covered her face to hide them from him. And he says when he noticed them, I was so relieved because I could tell with that one simple movement that you were really insecure, and I realized since you obviously had no idea how beautiful you were, that I might actually have a chance with you. And so I smiled. Like, he called her beautiful. That's really sweet. Awesome. So very sweet of him. I like how he's treating her. I think if he continues to encourage her like this, it's going to make her feel better about herself, and I want that for her. So I really like this next part. So she says that her mother would read self-help books, and she says through all these books she concluded that girls change more between the ages of 16 and 23. That is a span of 5 years, and we know, or at least I've been told it, it hasn't been stated yet, but this book spans 5 years. For the next 5 years, these two meet once a year, and so I feel like that's foreshadowing to how much she's going to change. And because this book does take place over 5 years, we're going to see her change, since this says girls change more between the ages of 16 and 23. Right now at this point she is 18, so 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23. By the end of this book she'll be 23. I feel like that's foreshadowing to her development, and I'm really excited to see the changes she's going to go through. So I like that this little part right here foreshadows that. Like, it obviously does. That's pretty cool. Freaking Ben is gearing up to be one of the best male characters I've ever read. My god, this guy just says the right things. So first of all, he's taking Fallon out on a date this night. He also wants her to wear this dress that is more reveals her skin more. She's not having it because she prefers to wear things that cover up her scars, but he wants her to wear it. I think she should wear it for once. That would be pretty awesome. And so he goes into the fact that people don't feel uncomfortable looking at her because of her scars. It's because she makes them feel uncomfortable because of the aura she gives off around them. So He says to her, "People want to stare at you, believe me, I'm one of them, but when everything about you screams look away, then that's exactly what people are going to do. The only person who gives a shit about a few scars on your face is you." He's right. It's the fact that she acts like her scars are so wrong. I think he's right. That's what makes people uncomfortable looking at her. If she were to present herself in a more confident manner, then people would look at her and not feel bad about it. Once she understands this, it'll give her more encouragement and more confidence in the way she presents herself. That's something she needs. So I really like how he's conveying this message to her because she needs to hear it. And these two, though they just met, they've only known each other for 2 hours. I put on this page right here, if they were to kiss already, I would not mind. Their connection already is so good. It's a shame they'll only be seeing each other once a year. So I just finished the 3rd chapter. The chapters aren't numbered, so I should just not number the chapters because I know I'm just going to lose track of what chapter I'm on. But in this chapter, again, the sweetness just continues. So Ben undresses Fallon to prove that she shouldn't feel insecure about her scars because he doesn't really think of her any less because of them. And the fact that she was able to be bare in front of someone, that was a big step for her. And so much so that afterwards she just started crying because she hasn't been that exposed to someone in a really long time. So it got to her. It was really sweet. I'm loving that he's showing her that she shouldn't feel the need to feel insecure about her scars because he thinks she's beautiful. I love that. So sweet, so sweet. This book is just drawing emotions out of me already, and if it's already this emotional, I know because it's Colleen Hoover, it's going to continue to be even more emotional. So I really love this chapter. So the first thing that happened in it is that Ben was talking to his roommate, and this weird conversation comes up. He says that his roommate says that his girlfriend is worried about him. He says, "We all are," and then Ben says, "I'm fine, you'll see, I'll be fine." So what has he gone through? Something happened with Ben. I don't know what this is alluding to, but something happened to him. I'm wondering though, because Ben keeps mentioning this past girlfriend. She's being brought up a lot. Did something happen to his girlfriend? That's my guess. Definitely something happened with him, and I'm sure we'll find out very much later on, but apparently he's not okay. I mean, he's saying he's okay, but he probably isn't, so I'm wondering what's happening there. And he's in Fallon's room as she's getting ready for their date, and this funny part comes up where he picks up one of her romance books because she's a reader and romance is her genre, and he's never read a romance book before, but he just starts flying through the book and he says that it's like crack. Like, he was so into it. I'm like, welcome to my world, because I love them too. I love my romance books, and I'm glad he's getting introduced to the genre and actually appreciating it. This chapter had me the whole way through just emotional, but just smiling so much. So Fallon has to leave to the airport to go off to New York, and before Ben leaves her house, because now he has to go, he kisses her, and it was beautiful and spicy and all the good things, and I'm all for it. I did not care one bit that they've only known each other for 10 hours. I don't give a damn. These two should have this already because I'm already feeling for them. I love the relationship they have thus far. It's already so strong that I was squealing. I was so happy for this. It was so cute. And so Ben actually drives her to the airport. And so here is when they make their arrangement that they are going to meet every November 9th. And the last few paragraphs of this was so cute. I was on the verge of tears with how cute this was. So Fallon tells Ben that a noteworthy kiss, like a noteworthy first kiss, has angst. And earlier he told her of this scenario he could have done where when she's going through security, he would go to her in slow motion, begging her not to leave, and that would be their angst moment. So when she's at airport security, he does just that, and it's so funny and so cute. I just felt the tears coming from me because of how adorable this was. He's so cute. I love them so much. So that ends the first November 9th, and now we're going into the next part, the second November 9th. So this was a really long chapter, so I might have a lot to say here. Hopefully I can remember it all. So it turns out Ben has been reading a lot of romance books as research for his novel, and one thing he figured out is alpha males and that they're a big thing. So when he meets Fallon, he tries to act like an alpha male, but he just can't do it. It's really, really cute. There's this one funny part here, I have to mention it. So Ben says to Fallon, "And screw it if I'm not supposed to admit that, but I tried the whole alpha male thing for 2 seconds and I just couldn't do it, so you don't get alpha Ben today, I'm sorry." And then Fallon goes, "Are you booksting me?" And he goes, "Booksting?" And she goes, "When a hot guy talks books with a girl, it's like sexting but out loud with books instead of sex. Nor does it have to do with text." Okay, so it's nothing like sexting, but it makes sense in my head. So she finds talking about books with a guy to be an attractive and alluring experience. I thought that was so cute, her logic in that. You know what? I guess it is a huge turn on to talk about books with someone you like. And then she says, "Don't stop, give me more, Ben. Did you read ebooks or," I turn my finger slowly down his chest, "hardbacks?" I love it. He goes, "Oh, they were hardbacks alright, and I'm not sure if you're ready for this, but I have my very own TBR pile. You should see it, Fallon. It's huge." That's the most hilarious form of flirting I have ever seen. It's like, it's something only readers would get. And I like how later on he explains to her that her scars are symbolism for what she went through, and there's symbolism for how she overcame that and how she didn't lose her life because of it. He says, "You're going to embrace them because you're lucky to be on this earth to see them." So sweet. That's such a great way of looking at them. He's encouraging her, saying to her, embrace them because they prove that you survived what you went through. I love that. Love that so much. And then later on, Fallon meets his family. He has 2 older brothers, so he meets them. One of his brothers is getting married, and she meets his fiance and all that. So we got some family stuff going on as well. But then the last few paragraphs got so confusing because his brother, the one that's getting married, like punches him in the eye. We don't know the reason for that at all. I don't know what the heck is happening, but something, Ben obviously did something, so I'm so confused right now. What the heck is happening? So that just came out of nowhere. Also, I forgot to mention this in my last update for previous chapters. It completely just left my mind. But one thing I like about Fallon and Ben meeting every November 9th is because November 9th is when Fallon went through the fire. So that specific day has always been distressing for her because that's when she got her scars and everything. So the fact that they're turning this around and making November 9th the one day that they meet, that will make November 9th mean a whole new thing to her. Instead of thinking about the fire, she's probably going to start thinking about Ben and how special that day is because that's the one day they meet every year. So I like that a lot. It'll be a day for her that isn't so distressing anymore, but will have a lot more meaning to her and will make her feel a lot more better about that day. So I love that for her. I just finished this last chapter and it is the ending of their second meeting. So next chapter is going into the third November 9th, so we'll get into that in a moment. Ben got a tattoo. It's a tattoo that says poetic, which I think he said music notes around it or something. So I don't know the meaning behind that, but okay. And they actually have plans to meet in New York for their next November 9th meeting. So Ben will be meeting her in New York next time, which will be a change of pace. And he did something insane. So when she was on the plane, she's about to leave, he buys a plane ticket just to give her her next homework assignment. He bought a $400 plane ticket just to give her a piece of paper. Dude is insane. $400 plane ticket. What is wrong with him? Like, he really was dedicated in giving her this. It turned out not to be her next assignment, but it was actually a letter, and in this letter he just thanks her for showing up that day, sticking to their plan, being there with him. That was super sweet. Not even a few pages into the third November 9th, and we get hit with something absolutely devastating. So Ben isn't in New York. He's back in LA. He calls Fallon through the restaurant she's at, tells her this, but he also tells her that his brother, the one that hit him, died in a wreck. That is terrible. Oh my god. So it happened, does he say when it happened? It must have been recently. I can't quite see. Maybe it goes more into it in the next page because I haven't read that far into it, but my god, that's horrible. So he's not even in New York. I don't know what's going to happen because how are they going to meet up? So we'll just see, but it's pretty bad. Y'all, I am freaking out. I am freaking out. I completely forgot about this. I heard that these characters were going to make a cameo in this book, but I completely forgot. But I do remember hearing that they make an appearance. So these two characters show up at Ben's house, and they are Tate and Miles. Tate and Miles are the characters, the main characters from Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. They show up. I completely forgot about that. That's so cool. And it totally makes sense because Ben's older brother Ian is a pilot. That was mentioned in one of the chapters. So that makes sense because Miles is a pilot. That's so cool. Oh, Tate is pregnant and I'm going insane. This was awesome. This was such a treat. This is making me want to reread Ugly Love. I haven't read it in, oh my god, when did I read it? It was like 2015, so 6 years. I read it 6 years ago. I need to reread that. I inhaled Ugly Love. It was the first Colleen Hoover book I ever read, and it's the only book I've ever read in one sitting. Ever. I've never read any other book in one sitting, but I read that book all night and I did not put it down until I finished it in the morning. Like, I love Ugly Love. That's my favorite book by her. I love that they showed up in this one. Oh, that's so cool. And they're having a baby. I love it. Now at the beginning of this video, I'm going to have to mention that there's going to be Ugly Love spoilers in this video too. So I should have known this was going to happen. So Fallon shows up at his house. She had to do it. She could not go another year without seeing him. So she gets a plane ticket, which had to cost a fortune because it was a same-day plane ticket. You know how that goes. So she did that just to go see him, and he is so happy. The minute he sees her, when she rings his doorbell, he opens the door, he sees her, he just kisses her, and it is the sweetest thing. Oh my god, and he's so happy. He mentions in his monologue she's the only person he wanted to see tonight. Like, he really needed her. And he also says at the end of this chapter, if she's not careful, I might just fall in love with her tonight. I mean, how could you not? This girl got a plane ticket right after she got off the phone with you, went all the way across the country just to see you. Like, how could you not fall in love with her? That's so sweet. I'm so happy for them. They deserve to see each other because they would have gone a whole nother year without seeing each other, and that would have been hard for them. They were really, really looking forward to this. They mentioned that so much, how much they were anticipating this, and then it fell through. It was devastating, so I'm so glad she went to see him. Oh, this part. Oh my gosh, so good, so good. So Fallon is staying the night at Ben's house, and they're sharing a bed together, and you know what happens then. So they like give in to stuff, and I love to see it. And this whole conversation they have is so cute. So Fallon mentions to him that she is a virgin, and so that obviously makes him hesitate to do anything. And he tells her, I don't want to be your first, Fallon. I want to be your last. And she replies, I want you to be my first and last. And it is so cute. She also says, I want you to be my only. I'm squealing on the inside. That's so romantic. I love it. I love it. I love it for them. And I thought this was so clever. So while they're doing stuff, he tells her no combination of written words could ever do this moment justice. And so she asks, how are you going to write about it then? And he replies, I guess I'll just have to fade to black. And this is so clever because right after he says that, there's a chapter break and it fades to black. I love that. Like, great use of dialogue in that moment. So we're at a point of a big conflict right now. So Ben's compromise for doing that with Fallon, he said that he would go through with it if they maintained communication after she left. Like, he wants to talk to her every day, he wants to exchange numbers with her, all of that. And he even talked to her about moving to New York. So that's something that both of them really, really want. But Fallon is seeing how he should stay where he's at because Kyle, his brother who died, wife, will be there alone raising a child, so she needs help with that. So she hasn't told him yet, but she's thinking in her monologue he needs to stay here. And she's also concerned if they maintain communication, it's going to ruin his inspiration for his book because they won't be following through with the storyline they're trying to convey about them only meeting on November 9th. So she's thinking they shouldn't keep in touch and all that, and it's something they really, really wanted. And at this point they're so deep in their feelings that they should be maintaining communication. So it's really frustrating how she's backing out of that. I'm like, girl, come on. Maybe he shouldn't move there because he should be there for his sister-in-law, but at least call each other and all that. I think it's about time you do that. I know it's going to maybe ruin the inspiration for his novel, but come on. It's worth it for you guys. So Ben is just begging her to let him talk to her every day after this, but she's so adamant, being like, no, because your story needs to be genuine, which is like frustrating because it's like, forget the freaking book. Why does the book matter so much to her? Like, it obviously doesn't matter as much to him. He's saying all that matters is just having you. That's it. He doesn't care about finishing the book. She's like, no, our story has to be genuine for the book to be genuine. That's frustrating so much. It's like, he can write another book. This doesn't have to be his only book idea ever. It's annoying. She's being frustrating. And he's just begging her to stay. Come on. She has something so good right now, and he doesn't want to wait for her. That was by far the most heartbreaking goodbye they've had. So this sucks right now. First chapter into their fourth meeting is absolutely crazy. So first of all, the less crazy part. Fallon moved back to Los Angeles, so she's no longer in New York, and now she's not acting, but she's an acting coach, so that's a big change for her. The most crazy thing about what happened is Fallon and Ben are at the restaurant where they met, and they get into this conversation where Ben tells Fallon about how they keep a baby monitor on at night for Jordan's baby, and she says in her monologue, so they share a bedroom because they have to be, and it dawns on her that they're in a relationship. Ben and his dead brother's wife are in a relationship, and he does not disprove that. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything. Like, that means it's true. What? How can that be so? For one, that's really, really weird, especially to happen this soon for him to get in a relationship with his dead brother's wife. That's really, I don't know how, that weirds me out. So I'm like, how can this be true? Is he just playing with her? But why would he be joking around about this? Is he trying to stick it to her for her not going through with maintaining a relationship with him to where they talked every day? Is he just trying to get back at her by lying to her about this? But that would be so cruel. I don't know. I don't like this at all. And she's just devastated. Right now she has to be thinking, I should not have let him go. She has to be regretting not maintaining a relationship where they talked every day because of this, because now she's lost him. So now Fallon has left, and she says, we're not meeting next year again. This is over. Like, she's done. My God. She doesn't even care about the book anymore. She's just like, we're done. This isn't happening anymore because I can't take it. Oh my gosh, it's like, why'd it have to be this way? So obviously, you know, I'm sure this book is going to have a happy ending, so obviously this is going to be fixed somehow, but right now this is tough. This is a really hard situation they're in, because it's going to be awful if Ben breaks it up with Jordan. Like, that'll be awful, to leave a single mother. He's basically a father to his nephew. That's something he's also dealing with. So if he leaves Jordan, then what's that going to do to the child? So there's a child involved in this, which makes it even more brutal if he is to leave her. That's something serious to be considered, but I don't want things to end between him and Fallon, so I don't know how this is going to work out, and it sucks. So this November 9th ended pretty quickly. I mean, they saw each other and they basically just left because Fallon couldn't stand to be there anymore. So they probably weren't even together an hour before she left. So it was really, really quick. So we're going into the next one right now, and I'm really curious to see what has happened this past year. If Ben and Jordan are still together. So let's just see. I like the direction this next chapter went in. It was so good. So it starts off, Fallon goes out and she has a date. She's been seeing this guy, but they're not exclusively dating, but they've been on a few dates and all that. And so she goes out with him, and she's with her friend and her friend's boyfriend, and it turns out Ben is there as well. He surprises her and shows up at, I think it's the club they're at. He had actually been waiting for her at the restaurant because it's November 9th, so he thought she was going to show up, even though she said their last meeting that she was going to show up again, but he still waited for her. So he shows up here, and it turns out that Ben and Jordan are no longer together. That's over, so he's single now, and they have something starting up again. They like reconnect, and now she's going home with him, so happy about that. So they'll be able to continue their relationship in that way. So Ben explains to Fallon that he got together with Jordan because of the fact that Jordan had lost her husband and Ben had lost Fallon, and they bonded over that. And also, once Oliver, his nephew, was born, of course both Jordan and Ben loved him so much that they bonded over their love for this child, and that brought them together. And that's so understandable. I was really quick to say, why is he with his dead brother's wife? That's so wrong and all that. But once you think about it, situations like this are understandable in the way they come together, because grief does bring people together, and both Jordan and Ben were very much grieving over the loss of Kyle, and they bonded even more once this child was born. So now I do see how they got together, and I can see that they really felt like they had to rely on each other for emotional support. So I really don't blame him for getting together with her. I'm glad he knows and has clarity of his feelings. He knows that Fallon is the one that he is in love with. He stated that so much throughout the last chapter and this chapter. He makes it known to her. He is in love with her. And so I wonder what's going to happen now. Are they really going to start seeing each other every day from now on? I really love this next part. So Ben explains to her that agreeing to love him back means he's taking on that Oliver is going to be a part of his life, because that's basically his son. Like, not just his nephew, that is his son. And she replies with, loving someone doesn't just include that person. Loving someone means accepting all the things and people that person loves too. And I will, I do, I promise. So sweet. So she's totally willing to have Oliver be in her life because he's a part of Ben's life, and she's totally fine with that. She respects that, and she wants to love him like he does. That's so cute. And I love that quote because it's so true. You can't just love someone, but you also have to love everything that goes along with them. You have to be able to love the people in their lives, their family, all of that. And sometimes that can be very, very difficult. I mean, you know, the stereotype that couples have with in-laws, like, it's difficult, but it's something you have to at least try to do. And I like that she's willing to do that. So good on her. She's maturing a lot. Not that she was immature at the beginning, but you can see now that she's, you know, she's 21 now. 21 or 22? I lost track. I think they're 22. No, they're 22 right now. My bad. So she's 22 now, so it makes sense that she has that adult-like thinking, so I like it. He explains in this next part why he got that tattoo so randomly. So he got it because his mom told him that once he knew he was in love, to remember that moment, he should do something to remember that moment, and he chose to get a tattoo to remember that moment. Because while they were on the beach leading up to when he got the tattoo, he knew he was in love with her, so he got that tattoo to remember it, which I thought was super cute. He still won't explain the meaning behind the tattoo. He says to her there's a dark reason behind that or something. What does that mean? I forgot that there's still some mystery to Ben. There's stuff that we still don't know about him, and I'm pretty sure that's what the twist is leading up to, because every single Colleen Hoover book has a plot twist, and it's always so mind-blowing. You do not expect it coming, so I know there's going to be a plot twist in here somewhere, and it does regard Ben. It has to, because he's been hiding something. He says at the end of this chapter, I'm going to make it my mission to forgive myself for all the times I withheld the truth from her in the past. Just admitted he's withholding something. So I'm scared. What could that mean? It could mean anything. What happened to him? I'm scared, and we still have yet to know why Kyle was punching him. There's got to be a reason behind that. I don't like this. I know it's coming, and I know it's gonna wreck me. So I'm curious to see what it is. Oh my god. No way. Ben is the one who started the fire. What? How did he start the fire? Oh my god, that's awful. Oh my god. How did that happen? Okay, well, we're gonna find out, obviously, but oh my god. He's the reason she looks the way she does, and he's withheld this information from her this entire time. That's really, really, really bad. Oh my gosh, she's gonna be so heartbroken. Oh my god. And then it's still in her point of view. So, oh my god. I'm like glancing over this page at what she's thinking, and she's devastated already. Okay. Let's see what she thinks. Oh my god, she just says, how dare he take something real, something that I suffered through, and turn it into fiction with a ridiculous plot line. She thinks he's making this up for the sake of the story, but no, it has to be real. I'm sure it's real. So no girl, this is a lot worse than it seems to be. That's the least of your worries. The first page of his manuscript is already crazy, and I'm like, what is happening? He says in this one paragraph, I suppose I should get on with how my mother died. I should probably also get on with how a girl who inspired me to write this book relates to a story that begins with my mother. What does that mean? This is crazy. How is his mother brought into this? Y'all, what is going on here? Guys, oh my god, this is insane. This is crazy. Oh my god, he says, it all begins on November 9th, 2 years before I came face to face with Fallon O'Neill for the very first time. November 9th, the first and last time my mother would die. November 9th, the night I intentionally started the fire that almost claimed the life of the girl who would one day save mine. He intentionally started that fire. I was thinking it was an accident. It was intentional. That makes this so much worse. I'm going crazy. I can't take this, y'all. I need a break. I'm gonna cry. I literally feel the tears in my eyes because I can't believe this is happening. I expect no less from a Colleen Hoover book. The next chapter opens her point of view saying, what have I done? What kind of monster did I give my heart to? That's what I'm wondering, but can he really be a monster? I don't believe so. There has to be more of an explanation for this. Oh my god, I feel so bad for her though. She's already in love with him. So she left him, understandably so. She leaves, and yeah, that's it. She's pissed. She's so mad. So Ben does tell her it wasn't a plot twist. This was all real. This is actually what happened, and you know, of course, that devastates her even more. So yeah, this is all real as I expected, and so they're broken up now. And next part goes into the 6th and last November 9th, and we'll see what happens. The last sentences of this chapter. It took 4 years for me to fall in love with him. It only took 4 pages to stop. My heart. It's so sad. I hate this. So to begin off this, Fallon got a box on her doorstep on next November 9th, and it's from Ben, and the box contains his manuscript. So she's reading more of the manuscript right now. She's on chapter 1. Chapter 1 is about what happened when he was 16 when his mom died, and she actually killed herself. So it's going over that. It turns out that she has the same tattoo that Ben got, the tattoo that says poetic with a music staff around it. She goes into the meaning of that tattoo and why she got it, and presumably why Ben got the same tattoo. She says, I got this tattoo the day I felt that kind of love for your father, and I chose it because if I had to describe love that day, I would say it felt like my 2 favorite things amplified and thrown together, like my favorite poetic line mixed into the lyrics of my favorite song. You'll know, Ben, when you're willing to give up the things that mean the most to you just to see someone else happy, that's real love. That's the meaning behind the tattoo. And that's why Ben got that tattoo when he knew he was in love, because his mother had done the same thing. It's so precious. I love it. Oh my gosh. That's so cute. It's so sad as well. I love the meaning behind that, and that's the exact tattoo that he chose to get. Oh, okay. Okay, I see. I totally understand why he started that fire now. So he's going through his mom's emails and text messages after she killed herself, and he finds out through this. He says, I scrolled through her phone and emails, several text messages, and emails later. I'm convinced I know exactly why my mother killed herself. His name is Donovan O'Neill. Oh my god. Fallon's father is the reason that his mom killed herself. What was the reason though? We don't know yet, because that's where it ends. But that makes sense as to why he set Fallon's house on fire. Her dad's house on fire. It's all coming together now, and it's breaking me. Oh my god. So that shows that he did do it intentionally. We find out the relationship between Ben's mom and Fallon's dad. They were dating. He saw that coming, and it turns out that her dad broke up with his mom, and she was broken over it. She thought they were going to be together forever. She was completely in love with him. So she killed herself because she lost him. So that's the whole reason why. And now at this point, Ben is at his house, and we know what's going to follow next. So it's just a matter of seeing how it unravels. We now know the circumstances of how the fire was started. So Ben's intention was only to catch Fallon's father's car on fire. That's it. But obviously the fire spread to the house, and therefore Fallon was badly burned because of it. But he only meant to catch the car on fire, so that really sucked. And he finds out through the news on the TV when he gets home what happened to Fallon, and he's devastated. He feels so bad, so much so that he even contemplates killing himself, and it's hard. So that happened, and also in that same scene, let me go back to it. Kyle is there, and he's the only one who knows exactly what happened, that Ben was involved in the fire. He's the one who started it. And he tells Ben, you are never to leave the slightest traceable connection to what happened tonight. Never look those people up online. Never drive by their house again. Stay away from anything that can trace you to them. And never ever speak another word of this. Not to me, not to Ian, not to anyone. So his brother is like, you pretend this never happened, and you never associate with Donovan or his daughter Fallon. Never do it. And now it's clear why Kyle beat him up after he first met Fallon, because he was pissed at Ben for getting involved with her. That makes total sense now, why he was so upset and beat the crap out of him. So it's all coming together, and it's just so heavy. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. I was waiting for the moment in this book where I was going to cry, because I cry during every single one of Colleen Hoover's books, and we've arrived at that moment. God, this is really, really hard right now. This is way too deep. So Ben is going over how upset and mad at his mom he is because of the fact that she took her life and left him and his brothers alone. He's so mad. He hates her for it. And Ian's listening to him go over how much he hates his mom right now, and he asks Ben, you didn't read her suicide note? And he says no. So he brings her the suicide note, and in that note, she says that she killed herself not because of Fallon's father, not because of their breakup. She did it because she had ovarian cancer, and she had approximately like 6 months left to live, and she did not want to wait out her imminent death. And she also wanted to end it because she knew that Ben would have to take care of her, and she did not want to put him through that. And so for that reason, she killed herself. And oh my god. Oh my god. This is terrible. This is terrible. I hate this book right now. Why? Just why? Why, Colleen, are you doing this to me? Every single time. This is absolutely devastating. This is devastating. And she also says, I hope that November 9th does not become a horrible day for you each year. My hope is, she says, my hope for you is that this date will be a date for you in the future with little significance and little excuse to mourn. Please don't worry about me, my suffering is over. In the wise words of Dylan Thomas, after the first death, there is no other. Oh, God. Oh my god. And I'm starting to think that because the reason why he took on this thing with Fallon to have them meet every November 9th is because, like Fallon, he also wanted to have November 9th mean different significance because it's the day he lost his mom. Just as Fallon wanted to find a different significance in it. Sorry, my nose is running. My god, I need a tissue. Just because Fallon wanted to change the significance in it by seeing Ben every year on November 9th. Like, they were both trying to rewrite the meaning of November 9th for themselves by seeing each other and falling in love through it. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna continue. I think this is the worst that it's going to get in terms of emotional state. So we'll see about that. Now there's this other aspect that makes the situation much worse. So Ben says in his monologue that if he had just seen the note before going over to Fallon's dad's house and starting the fire wouldn't have ever started, because he would have known that his mom didn't kill herself over Fallon's dad, but over the fact that she was to die due to cancer. If he had known that, he would have never started the fire, and this absolutely breaks him. He says he cries because they're the tears of guilt for being responsible for ruining the life of an innocent girl. Oh my god, if he had just known, if he had just read the letter, but the police had taken the letter away before he could read it, so he couldn't have read it. Oh god, that's terrible. All of this wouldn't have happened if he had just read that letter. This is so frustrating. Oh, this is such a really, really bad misunderstanding that resulted in tragedy. It's just awful. Y'all, I almost had a heart attack. My gosh. So the next chapter, it's going over when Ben is 18, and it's the day of the event where he met Fallon at the restaurant where she was having lunch with her dad. And before that, he wakes up in someone else's house, and it turns out to be Jordan. He's there after he got drunk the night before, and he starts to think, did I do something with Jordan? But no, he didn't. He only called her for help because he was so drunk, and she let him sleep it off at her house. And I was like, oh my god. Oh my god, I was about to be so mad at him because you don't do that. You don't sleep with your brother's girlfriend. That would have been awful. Oh man, I'm so glad that didn't happen. This next part was unexpected. So Ben is at his mom's grave site, and he notices that from the parking lot, Donovan, Fallon's father, has come to the grave site to set flowers on Ben's mom's grave. Unexpected. It's weird because at the beginning of this book, I just got the impression that her dad was terrible, a jerk. But then he does this, which is, you know, kind of sweet. It showed that he did actually care for Ben's mom a lot if he's to do this. So that's pretty interesting. And after Donovan drives away, Ben follows him. And Donovan was going to meet Fallon at the restaurant. So that's why Ben was at the restaurant. He had followed Fallon's father there. Makes sense now. Everything's coming together. And now we're leading up to when he saw Fallon for the first time. Met her face to face. So this should get more interesting. So it just continues to get more and more emotional. So Ben leaves a letter for Fallon in the manuscript, and in that letter he tells her that before he had met her when they were 18, he was in a horrible place. He was failing in school. He was doing a lot of drinking. Like, he was mentally not okay because he was suffering not exactly from the grief of losing his mother, although that definitely did play some part, but he mentions it was mostly due to his guilt for ruining her life. That's where a lot of his depression came from. And so he explains he was in a horrible place, but when he met her, he felt so happy. And the years following that, every November 9th, he continued to feel so happy. And he just thanks her in this letter for giving that to him. And it's so, so beautiful. And I love this part right here. So he tells her, because while I did withhold a huge truth from you, the one thing I couldn't have been more honest about was your beauty. And yes, you have scars, but anyone who sees your scars before they see you doesn't deserve you. I hope you remember that and believe that. A body is simply a package for the true gifts inside. And you are full of gifts. Selflessness, kindness, compassion, all the things that matter. He has a way with words. I mean, he's a writer, but that's just gorgeous. I mean, everything he's saying right here, I don't see how she couldn't go back to him. This is just absolutely beautiful. And he also tells her if she wants to see him again, he will be at that restaurant this day on November 9th, and if she doesn't show up, he will continue to be at that restaurant every November 9th, hoping that she's going to show up. My god, obviously we know she's going to show up. She has to. She has to today, and I think she's going to. So he's not going to be waiting long. Guess who finished this book in one day? I did. I never do that. My god. Like I said, Ugly Love is the only book I've ever finished in one sitting. I basically finished this book in one sitting. I only had 2 breaks throughout it. So going over the last chapter, oh my god, I mean, it ended the way I thought it would, but didn't make it any less awesome. So Fallon does arrive at the restaurant and meets with Ben, and they have this beautiful reunion. And it's so funny because once Ben sees her, he hugs her and he says, I do the most non-alpha thing I can possibly do. I cry like a fucking baby. And I just put next to that, I love him so much. He's so cute. I love it. And then Fallon goes into this whole speech to him, but she tells him that she understands why he did what he did when he was 16. She says, you were only 16. You had just gone through something so traumatic with losing your mother, and sometimes when we go through something that traumatic, we just make mistakes. We are not thinking straight. And so she says that there's nothing for her to forgive from him because he just made a mistake that was so understandable that she's not going to forgive him because there's nothing to forgive. And she also says, if anything, I'm here for your forgiveness because I know your heart and your heart is only capable of love. I should have recognized that last year when I doubted you. I should have given you the chance to explain it then. If I had just listened to you, then we could have avoided an entire year of heartache. So for that, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, and I hope you can forgive me. So she's the one asking for forgiveness for not believing in him and jumping to conclusions, which I understand why she's asking him for that. And he says, like, you shouldn't be saying that, like, you're not at fault for anything, but you know, that's what she says, and it's super, super sweet. And she also got a tattoo. Her tattoo is of a open book, and on each of the 2 open pages lie a comedy and a tragedy mask. And she says, books and theater, my 2 favorite things. I just got it about 2 hours ago when I realized how selflessly in love with you I am. I love that she did that. It was so unexpected and sweet. And the last few words just... oh. So Ben tells her, tonight you're mine. I'll just wait to cook you breakfast until the day after tomorrow and every day after that until next November 9th when I get down on one knee and give you the most book-worthy marriage proposal in history. And she says, that was a huge spoiler, Ben. Did you not learn about spoiler alerts during your reading binge? He says, spoiler alert, they lived happily ever after. So now we can expect that next November 9th there's going to be a proposal because he just spoiled it. And then the last few words, and then I kiss her, and it's a 12. Not the end, far from it. So they're just going to continue to be together after November 9th this time. Oh my god. This is one book that I would love to just see the aftermath of what happens now that they're spending every single day together and not just one day out of the whole year. How is their relationship now? Man, Colleen, can you make an epilogue or something? Like just something to give us a little bit of a taste of, you know, where they're at now. I would love to read that because I love them so much. Oh my god. Love this. Writing, of course, love Colleen Hoover's books. Amazing writing. So many great quotes. Romance, amazing. They just had this instant connection that was still believable. And all the way through, I was just feeling for them. They had so much chemistry right off the bat. I mean, just incredible romance. And I love the respect they have for each other. I love that Ben really encouraged Fallon to embrace the way she looks and that there's nothing wrong with the way she looks and that she's still beautiful. She really needed to hear that. God, they're so beautiful together. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm pretty positive. I don't think there's any question about it. I think it's definitely one of Colleen's best books. Loved it. I'm so glad I read it. And I think the experience of reading it on November 9th made this book even more enjoyable to read. I felt even more connected to this book because I read it on November 9th. There was just no other perfect day to read this book, so I'm so happy I chose to do so. So that's it. My last reading vlog for Flock was super long. It was over an hour, so I'm hoping this video isn't as long as my last one, but who knows, it probably is. I had a lot to say, so I'm sorry if I made you sit through like a movie length video, but I hope you still enjoyed it. Regardless, let me know what you thought of November 9. I would really love to know all your thoughts, if you had similar thoughts to me, if you enjoyed it, so please let me know in the comments. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more anime related videos and book related videos, possibly more reading vlogs on individual books. I'm just testing these videos out, see if they do well. If they do, I'll continue to make more of these, but I would really love to continue to make more of these because I've enjoyed filming these, so it might happen. And I'll be back really soon. Bye.